Hello everyone, this is Rick, and as you know that we have already covered the major aspects of the Vedic age in this series. So today I found it important to discuss about some of the major factors, some of the major stuffs in the Vedic age in great detail. So we will start with few of the important stories, few of the important protocols found, and also few major archaeological discoveries. So without doing any delay, let's get into detail. At first, we'll discuss about the Battle of 10 Kings. Now, here in Rigveda, this is the earliest documented battle in the Indian subcontinent. We don't know how much of it is true, but there is obviously historicity in this battle. The Battle of 10 Kings is significant event described in Rigveda, especially in Mandala 7, hymn 18, showcasing one of the earliest known conflicts in the Vedic culture. So this is the earliest documented battle in the Indian subcontinent. There may have been battles before also, but we do not find documentation of it. But this is the earliest written battle. The epic battle took place in the banks of river Purushni, which is modern day Rabi River, a tributary of Indus in Punjab, involving a large scale confrontation between the ancient tribes. So we have discussed before that during the Rig Vedic times the society was divided into different clans and tribes. So 10 of the clans participated in a war on the banks of river Parushni. The conflict was between the Bharata tribe led by the king Sudas and a confederation of 10 tribes aiming to check the Bharata's expansion. So the Bharata tribe was led by a king named as Sudas, and he fought against a confederation of 10 kings who wanted to check the Bharata's expansion. Shudas was guided by his priest Vasishtha, whose wisdom and divine interventions were pivotal to Bharata's success. So, the guide or the philosophical insights into Shuda's life were given by a priest named Vasishtha. Now, Vasishtha is a significant figure in the Vedic period because he has been seen in many other stories also. So Vasishtha was a guide to Sudas who helped him to win the major war, which is the Battle of 10 Kings. The battle and its aftermath. How was the battle fought and what happened after the battle? The precise reasons for the battle are not fully clear, but likely involve territorial disputes, control over trade routes, or conflicts over water resources. So we do not know the specific cause of battle, but we can guess that the battle probably happened because of territorial dispute or dominion over trade routes or conflict over water resources. The Rig Veda narrates how the gods played a significant role, with the river Saraswati's miraculous flooding being instrumental in Suda's victory. So the gods played a major role in this story of Rigved, and the Saraswati river flooding was a significant event which helped the Sudas to win victory. Despite being outnumbered, Suda's forces under Vasistha's guidance, employed superior strategy and divine weapons to defeat the coalition. So, the forces of Sudas were very less, and the confederation of 10 kings hugely outnumbered the forces of Sudas. Therefore, under Vasistha's guidance and strategical importance, many important strategies led to Suda's victory, and also gods played an important part in the war by granting divine weapons to Sudas in order to defeat the coalition. The victory solidified Bharata's dominance in the region, allowing them to expand their territory and influence further. So through this victory, the Bharatas gained the ultimate dominion over the region, and they expanded their territory a bit more, and their influence reached its zenith. The battle underscores the importance of divine favor and the priestly class in Vedic society reflecting the era's socio-political and religious beliefs. So from this battle we can understand that the priestly class and the gods played an important role in the socio-political lives of the Vedic people. The story of the Battle of Ten Kings serves as a foundational myth in Vedic literature, highlighting the themes of loyalty, leadership, and the impact of divine forces on human affairs, shaping the cultural heritage of the region. So this is highly significant story in Rigveda, which tells us about a battle fought between a confederation of 10 kings and the leader of the tribe Bharata called Sudha. The Soma plant and its significance. Now there are various myths associated with the Soma drink and the significance of having a Soma plant from which the drink is supposed to have been made. We will discuss them in detail. There is a mystery regarding the origin of Somas. So Rigveda, one of the 4 canonical texts of Hinduism, mentions a plant known as Soma, which was considered sacred and revered for its ability to confer immortality. So one who could drink the juice of Soma plant, they will become immortal. Such was the belief as stated in Rigveda. Soma was pressed to make a ritual drink that was central to Vedic rituals, with priests consuming it to experience divine effects such as communion with the gods and heightened spiritual awareness. So this drink was consumed mainly by the priest. Why? Because they wanted to establish a link between the gods and the mortal world. So through this drink they could achieve that much of potential, and it also heightened the spiritual awareness of the priest. Such was the belief as stated in Rigveda. Those who drank Soma reported feelings of exhilaration, enhanced perception of light, and sense of invincibility akin to become divine. So it was a divine sense which one got while drinking the Soma. There was an enhancement in the bodily functions, and a sense of invisibility came upon the person who used to consume this drink. The use of Soma was not limited to India only, with evidence suggesting it was a part of rituals in many parts of Asia and Europe under different names such as Hauma in Iran. So Hauma in Iran is a drink which has similar properties like that of Soma in Rigveda. Therefore we can understand that there was a geographical spread of this culture of drinking Soma. The enigma of Soma and scientific perspective. Despite its prominence in ancient texts, the exact botanical identity of the Soma plant remains unknown, leading to much speculation and research. So there has been many stories in which we find the characters drinking or consuming Soma, but we do not find the exact botanical identity of the plant from where the juice is made. Various species such as the ephedra mushrooms from the genus Amanita, and even plants like Reham and Asclepias acida have been proposed to be Soma plants. So these are the plants which may have been the Soma plants and whose juice may have been consumed by the people in ancient times. Studies suggest that Soma's effects such as increased energy could be due to the presence of psychoactive compounds, with ephedrine and being one of the identified substance. So there must have been some kind of psychoactive compounds in the drink which enhanced the effects, which enhanced the senses in a mortal human being, and thus Soma was considered to be divine. There's ongoing scholarly debate regarding whether Soma was a single plant or a combination of ingredients that produced its potent effects. So we still do not know whether it was juice made from a single plant or there was some kind of ratio in which different plant juices were to be mixed in order to get the Soma juice. Soma's significance extends beyond its ritual use. It represents a profound aspect of Vedic culture, symbolizing humanity's quest for divine knowledge and mysteries of consciousness. So this extends this property of Soma juice extend beyond its ritual use, and it is a profound aspect of Vedic culture. Now, overview of jewel offering ceremony. This is a significant event which used to be held during the ancient times by the kings. The jewel offering, known as the Ratniha Vimshi was an integral part of Rajasuya. Rajasuya is a kind of sacrificial rituals, a royal consecration ceremony significant for establishing and legitimizing the kingly authority. So it was the crowning ceremony, and there a jewel offering protocol was done, which is popularly called as Ratniha Vimshi. Key figures in this ceremony included the Ratnin, comprising various societal leaders such as the priest, which is Brahman, and the general, which is Senani, and local judge or magistrate, which is who is called Akshavapa. So these are the key figures who used to be associated with this ceremony where king was crowned. It was a consecration ceremony of the king that legitimized his authority. The ritual involved visiting each Ratnin in their respective dwellings, where they were seated on benches of kusha grass, signifying their important status. So each Ratnin had to be visited in their dwellings. And what was the dwelling? In their dwelling they used to be, they were seated in a bench of kusha grass. So kusha grass is a specific type of herb through which a bench was used to be made, and there the Ratnin used to sit, and the king was supposed to go there and visit each of the Ratnins. A cow, which could be a symbol or perhaps a substitute for most precious offering, was presented to each Ratnin. So each Ratnin received the gift of a cow or some kind of other gifts also, as stated in the later Vedic text. References to this ceremony are found in ancient texts like Satapatha Brahmana and are essential for understanding the socio-political fabric of Vedic society. Symbolism and execution of the ceremony. So how was the ceremony conducted, and what was the symbolic nature of the ceremony, and how was it executed? There was some variation in the names and the order of Ratnins, highlighting the ceremony's adaptability across different Vedic communities. So the names of Ratnins have been changed in some texts. This indicates the fact that ceremony was adapted by different geographical areas under different conditions. The ceremony was marked by elaborate arrangement of offerings, which included a mixture of both tangible gifts and libations to gods. So there was tangible gifts also and gifts given to gods also, and elaborate arrangement was made for the conduction of this ceremony. Notably, the Samhitas and the Gramanis, which means village chiefs, were also involved, suggesting the inclusive nature of the ritual. So this was a grand ritual in which many people, many important people from different sects or different positions of the society used to visit in the consecration ceremony of the king. Curiously, some texts suggest that offerings were not always presented to living persons, but instead symbolically to the thrones that represented them. So sometimes they were not even, the gifts given to the Ratnins was not even reserved for the living people, but they were given to the thrones which represented the position of each Ratnin. A detailed description of this ceremony comes from P.V. Kane and Sukumari Bhattacharjee, whose works are pivotal in understanding Vedic rituals. We have discussed in our previous videos that sacrificial area or the feature of sacrifice was an important aspect in the religion of the Vedas. Therefore, we need to discuss about the arrangement of sacrificial arena in great detail. The sacrificial arena was meticulously organized with 3 fire altars at its center known as Ahvaniya, which means eastern fire, Garhapatya, which means western fire, and Dakshinagni, which means southern fire. So 3 kind of fires in 3 directions used to be illuminated in the sacrificial arena. The altar's fire was strategically placed aligning with cardinal directions. Ahvaniya was placed in the east, Garhapatya was placed in the west, and Dakshinagni in the south. The priest sitting was equally structured with Hotri in the north, Adharvayu in the east, Udgatri in the south, and Brahman in the west. So in 4 directions, 4 kinds of priests used to sit in order to properly conduct the sacrificial ceremony. Each priest has a specific function. So each of the priests had some specific purpose which they needed to do during the ritual. Hotri was there for chanting hymns. The purpose of the priest named as Hotri was chanting hymns. Adharvayu used to manage the physical aspects of the ritual. It was Adharvayu's duty in order to see what kind of materialistic things were required during the ritual. The Udgatri was reserved for singing the Sama Veda hymns. Sama Veda mainly comprises of all the sacrificial hymns. Hence, Udgatri used to sing the Sama Veda hymns, and the Brahman was there to oversee the entire ceremony. He was like the head priest who used to oversee the entire ceremony and used to dictate all the rituals. The arrangement was not just practical but also deeply symbolic, with each position and direction holding spiritual significance within Vedic ritual. So it was not just practical, it had a spiritual essence and different protocols had to be followed during the sacrificial ritual. The significance of direction and position in the Vedic rituals. In the Vedic ritual, direction and sitting position played a very important part. The north-south line was deemed most sacred, with the Hotri facing the north and Udgatri positioned directly opposite to the Hotri, representing a balance in ritual duties. So the north-south axis was the most sacred axis, and Hotri used to sit facing north and Udgatri used to sit opposite to that of Hotri, and thus it used to represent a balance in the ritualistic duties. The Adharvayu and the Brahman faced each other from east to west, symbolizing the sun's path and the flow of ritual activities from initiation to completion. The sun moves from east to west. Hence, the Adharvayu and the Brahman used to sit in those 2 positions, symbolizing the movement of sun and beginning of the ritual and ending of the ritual. The center altar was the focal point of the ceremony, where the sacrificial fires burnt and the offerings to gods were made. So the center altar was the most significant fire, and there the offerings were burnt and transported to the realm of the gods. Each fire had a specific role. The Ahvaniya for offering sacrifices to the deities. The fire Ahvaniya was for taking the sacrifices which were offered to the deities. The Garhapatya represented the household fire. Means in every household there was to be a fire, which is the essence of civilization. Therefore, the Garhapatya represented the household fire, and the Dakshinagni was for the ancestors and the southern deities. So a fire was reserved for the ancestors also, which was the Dakshinagni. The physical layout of the sacrificial arena was a representation of Vedic cosmology linking the terrestrial space with the cosmic order. So this was a representation, the arrangement of the sacrificial arena was a representation of the Vedic cosmology where we find linking of terrestrial space with the cosmic divine realm. Now we will go through the archaeological discovery in the burials of a site named as Sanauli. Excavations at Sanauli in Bagpat district of UP by D.V. Sharma and team revealed a vast late Harappan cemetery suggesting mature Harappan cultural influences. So this is a site where we can connect the Vedic society with that of the Harappan society, and thus this site helped in the discovery of the linkage between the late Harappan culture and the mature Harappan culture and that of the Vedic culture also. A range of artifacts were found including 21 pieces of pottery in one grave with dish on stand types and pictures with bull head shaped leads indicating symbolic significance. So all the artifacts were found in the grave goods and these grave goods had a huge symbolic significance in the Vedic culture. The burial 28 featured unique items like mushroom shaped dish on stands, a violin shaped copper container and stylized copper objects. So the burial number 28 was very much significant because there was a mushroom shaped dish on stand, a violin shaped copper container and a stylized copper objects. Burial 106 contained pottery resembling a human figure which could indicate some from the ancestor worship or remembrance. So this was probably a kind of ancestral worship where we find human effigy in burial 106. The cemetery displayed variety in burial practices with evidence of secondary and extended burials, some without human remains, suggestive of ritualistic or symbolic purposes. Now, insights into the burial practices and social structure. The burials were oriented northwest and southeast. This is very significant because orientation of the burial or the placement of the human figure is very significant while analyzing a burial cemetery, with extended burials and secondary interments showing a complex understanding of afterlife beliefs. High status items such as semi-precious stones, copper swords and gold ornaments were found with some skeletons hinting at hierarchical social structures. So few of the burials had very expensive grave goods and from there we can understand that those burials belong to the high status families or there was a class division in the society. A preliminary study of 40 skeletons identified males and females of various ages, providing insights into population demographics. So there was a study of 40 skeletons identified males and females of various ages, providing insights into the population, how was the population, what was the male female ratio in the population. Some burials included animal bones, suggesting that animal sacrifice was a part of some funerary rites. So some of the burials also had animal bones in them. On the left hand side you can see a picture of a chariot which has been recently discovered while excavating the site of Sanauli. References to a grander cemetery associated with this kind of habitation site indicate that there may be more discoveries to come, as noted by S.R. Walimbe. So from this excavation in Sanauli we can understand or we can predict that there are more things to be researched and found, and thus Sanauli, the excavation in Sanauli plays a significant part for linking the Harappan culture with that of the Vedic culture, and thus it challenges the fake Aryan invasion theory. Copper anthropomorph. So this was a significant artifact which was found in the copper hoards. About the copper hoards I have already discussed, but here we will discuss about the copper anthropomorph structure found in the copper hoards. The copper anthropomorph is a large stylized object that depicts a human figure with arms outstretched and circular facial features. So this is a very popular artifact in the copper hoards culture. Unearthed in 2001 at the site of Daimabad in Maharashtra, the artifacts highlights the metalworking skill of the Harappan civilization. So the Daimabad is a site where we find overlapping of Harappan culture and that of the OCP or PGW culture. Therefore, this artifact signifies the craft technology of the Harappan people. It has been found in the Harappan layers of Daimabad site. The striking feature measures 36 centimeter in height and has an arm span of 37 centimeter, showing the precision of ancient craftsmanship. Now from this figure, from the measurements, we can understand that the craftsmanship of the ancient people was very much precise. The figure is notable for its flat ribbon-like arms ending in loops and its sleek abstract forms, which differs from the more realistic Harappan statuary art. So this is very significant because it has ribbon-like arms which ends in a loop and is very sleek and abstract in formation. Found in situ, stacked on 11 miniature chariots, it suggests ritual significance potentially related to Harappan worship practices. So this may have played an important role in the Harappan worship practices. Now Dwarka in Jamnagar district of Gujarat. This is a recently excavated site which shows us that the civilizational history of Indian subcontinent extended to minimum of 9,000 years before present. Archaeologists found a 9,000-year-old city beneath the modern-day Dwarka, affirming the historical context of the Mahabharata and existence of the city as mentioned in the epic. So inside the modern city of Dwarka, inside the beaches of modern city of Dwarka, archaeologists have found a 9,000-year-old city, and this has challenged the theory of Mahabharata being a myth, because we are finding materialistic or archaeological evidence. And dating this site, we have found it had its origin or relevance from about 9,000 years before today. Therefore, it is very much important while judging the chronology of Indian civilization. Between 1983 and 1990, the Marine Archaeology Unit of India's National Institute of Oceanography conducted underwater excavations, unearthing evidence of a city-state around 1500 BC, potentially the Dwarka described in Mahabharata. So this city was significant until 1500 BC, and the recent dates are 1500 BC, but the earliest dates are earlier than 9,000 years from today. Dwarka exploration bridges mythology and archaeology, challenging the belief that city's submergence was merely a legend. Excavations at Dwarka have revealed structures dating back to 15th century BC, aligning with descriptions of Krishna's city. So this challenges the belief that Mahabharata was entirely mythology. No, it was not. And from the existence of the city of Dwarka, we get to understand that this story of Dwarka being submerged into the sea was not merely a legend. It definitely had a lot of historicity in it. Modern satellite imaging and geographical mapping have identified potential underwater exploration sites that match the ancient descriptions of Dwarka. So from the technologies, from the modern technologies like satellite imaging and other geographical mapping features, we have identified the city as it has been described in the ancient epic of Mahabharata. The discovery of Dwarka has enhanced our understanding of ancient civilization, blending mythological narratives with historical accuracy and sparking interest in maritime archaeology. So, Dwarka is a significant site which bridges the gap between mythology and history, and it is also significant while judging the chronology of Indian civilization in general. And this site has huge potential for maritime archaeology also. The Daimabad bronzes. Now, as we have described that the site of Daimabad had overlapping cultures from the Harappan phase right up to the Copper Hordes and OCP cultures also. And it had the separate culture of Daimabad, a unique culture where we find different bronze sculptures. Excavations in 1974 at Daimabad near the Godavari river led to the discovery of Daimabad bronzes believed to be from the late Harappan period. So these bronze sculptures were from the late Harappan period. Now there is a misconception about Indian civilization that in India people did not know how to make bronze or did not have the knowledge of alloying. It is true that we do not have a bronze age to be specific, but we definitely had huge knowledge of metallurgy and how to make alloys, and that can be evidenced from the Daimabad bronze sculptures which have been found. The bronzes consist of 4 distinct artifacts: a chariot with 4 solid wheels and its driver, an elephant, a water buffalo, and rhinoceros. So these are the sculptures which have been found in Daimabad, and all of them are made out of the alloy of bronze. The chariot's driver has been crafted with detail, displaying a beard and a hair tied up, a short dhoti, and a flat, thin chisel-like object in his hand. So the driver of the chariot was had very much specific features, with beard and hair tied up, with costumes of a short dhoti and a flat, thin chisel-like object in his hand, which projects the fact that how much technologically advanced the sculptors of Daimabad were. The animals portrayed are stylistically similar with heavy and solid build, highlighting the artistic uniformity and skill of the period. These bronzes are crucial for understanding the late Harappan phase, representing technological and artistic advancement and indicating potential ritual significance or status symbols of the era. So from the Daimabad bronzes we can understand the potential ritual significance or status of the period and the finery with which the metallurgical advancement was done in ancient India. Prehistoric art and social narratives in stone. Now we get many pictures drawn in stone and we will discuss about them. The prehistoric art form India depicts various themes such as hunting, dancing, and farming, indicating a rich narrative of everyday life. The prehistoric art forms has scenes which show hunting, dancing, farming, and many other activities which indicate that the everyday life of the prehistoric people were very much eventful. The content and style of these petroglyphs vary by region, with depictions of communal dances in Karnataka and elaborate hunting scenes in Maharashtra. So the context of paintings differ from place to place, where we find communal dances in Maharashtra and hunting scenes in communal dances in Karnataka and hunting scenes in Maharashtra. These images provide insights into socio-economic conditions of the times, reflecting the importance of community and food gathering activities. So there was, we from these paintings we get to know the socio-economic activities which were done by the prehistoric people. The use of outlines and infill techniques suggests that the prehistoric artists were skilled and their style evolved over time. So they were very much skilled, and with time there was evolution in their artistic techniques. Studies by researchers like Bovin suggest a need to look beyond the mere aesthetic, appreciating the socio-cultural and ceremonial significance of these depictions. Megalithic anthropomorphs. Now we have found different megalithic, which means big stone sculptures, all around the southern India. The megalithic anthropomorphs are monumental stone figures over 2 meters high standing on large flat boulders. So these are monumental stone figures, and they bear a very much similarity with the copper anthropomorphs we have discussed, and they used to be situated in large flat boulders. These figures were discovered at megalithic sites near Mudumalai forest, suggesting a potential connection to ancestral worship or astronomical observations. The purpose of these sculptures are not yet clear, but there it can be assumed that it had a connection to ancestral worship or some kind of astronomical observations. The anthropomorphs feature stacked stones for the body and smaller stones for the head, arms, and decorations. So that is how it looked like. It had stacked stones for the body and smaller stones for the head. Such figures may represent defied ancestors, gods, or serve a protective function to the community. So we do not find any definitive conclusion regarding the purpose of these figures, but they may had something to do with ancestors worship or serve a protective function to the community. The Madumalai anthropomorphs bear resemblance to other cultural representations of the human-like figures in stones, hinting at a broader prehistoric tradition of stone worship or monumentality. So this anthropomorphs had significance because it had something to do with ancestral worships or astronomical observations. Therefore, these are very important artifacts of the megalithic period in southern part of Indian subcontinent. So that was all. We have discussed few of the important aspects of the Vedic age. We have discussed how the sacrificial rituals used to be conducted and the battle of 10 kings also. Along with that, we had found the archaeological sites like Sanauli and Dwarka, and thus we are on a target to bridge the gap between the Harappan culture and the Vedic culture. We have also related the mythological features of ancient Indian epics with that of history. Hope you like the video, and with that we conclude our Vedic Age series. Please go through the other videos from where you will get knowledge about the Vedic Age both from literary sources and archaeological sources. Thank you so much, and please support me so that I can bring brighter contents in future. Thank you.